So welcome to our webinar today. We're going to run through our PCM archiving tool. I'm Nicole Jardin. I'm the founder and CEO of Emerald Associates, and I'm joining you here today from Calgary. We're going to run through how PCM Archiver allows you to extract the data from PCM. So some of you may have been using PCM for many years, and unfortunately, Oracle is not really continuing to support the tool, and it's starting to get old in terms of the technology. So more and more people are looking at how they can get their data extracted from the record keeping they've been doing, get the data out in an organized manner, and of course get a backup of the data so they can still access it if need be. And that's really where some of the struggles are, right? Because we need the data out. We need the history. We need to be able to access it in case there's a claim or a dispute, or you might have some contractual obligations to fulfill where you need to provide the data. So, those can be struggles. And if you've been using PCM for any length of time, I'm kind of curious for the people who are attending, if you would like to, I'd like to see how many projects you have in PCM. I'm always curious. Some of the groups we've worked with had hundreds and thousands of projects because they used the tool for so long. So if you want to answer, you can. If you don't, that's all right too. And doesn't look like anyone wants to answer. So okay, I'll skip the poll. No problem. Now, extracting just the records is quite a bit of work. Okay, especially if you've used a lot of the modules. But then to extract attachments, it can take hours and hours and months, just again, depending on how many projects you've got. So it would be very time consuming and of course, very error prone. It would be easy to miss files. It would be easy to, make mistakes where you put them. So, and then making sure that you've documented and you haven't corrupted anything. It opens up all sorts of potential legal challenges and concerns. So really, that's where having an automated tool that goes in, gets the data, takes out the data, takes out attachments, and takes out a record in Excel. I'll show you that in a second, is really of huge benefit. So let me run through what it does, and then I'm going to show you live how the software works. So you get to choose what you want the archiver to do. So you can pick which projects, you can pick which document types. You could also pick a vendor filter if you wanted to. Okay, that would allow you to build a whole vendor file. And we built that years ago when some of our clients needed to do exactly that. So was a EPCM firm running projects, and they needed to provide each vendor a subset of data at the end of the project. So that's an option. It may not be quite as relevant now that we're, more moving into a point where people are starting to retire contract manager, but it is available. And it takes a backup of the project, and then it gives you a detailed record and output of what it's doing, what it's done. Okay. Now, we actually did enhance the software not too long ago. One of the clients we were working with had a lot of projects to extract, and they were having some server challenges on their end. So we actually made the tool have more flexibility on incremental extracts as well. So we have been actively improving the tool because we've got a lot of people using it to retire contract management. So it works on many of the versions. So the latest one that had been put out by Oracle was version 14, but the version works all the way back to version 11 as well. Okay. Now there are some slight differences in technology on version 13 to 14 because they changed the way printouts were done, but we've got support all the way back to version 11. So I think that's good. It gives you a bit of an overview. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the software and I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so I'm going to switch over and I'm going to share my screen. And just let me know, Donna, whether or not you can see it. I'm looking at contract management right now, and I'm going to.
Yeah, I can see Nicole. Go ahead.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I'm going to also show you the archiver. Now, before I jump into the archiver, I'm just going to give you a bit of the lay of the land of what I'm going to use as my example. So I'm using a demo project. It's been in contract management since it's been Windows and DOS days. So it's an old demo project. And I'm going to use just a handful of the modules, only for the sake of time. There's no other reason. Just so we extract a handful of documents, it will give you an idea of how it's going to work. So the documents I'm going to extract, I'll take out a contract, I'll take out a change order, I'll take out an RFI. We can take out some drawings, we could take out some submittals. Okay, so there's no limit on what we extract. So it's not like I'm just showing you the ones that work. It's not that. It's only for a matter of time. And I'm also just going to limit it to, well, I guess I won't limit it to the vendor, but the ones I'm going to show you in detail are these ones for standard paving. Okay. And I'm going to use the Earthworks contract. So I'm just showing it to you in the software first. So the first thing we extract is we take out all these fields. Okay, so every field that you have on the different tabs, line items as well, all these fields, they're going to come out into an Excel sheet. Okay, so it's a detailed list of all the fields in the system, including custom fields. Now in this database, we have a lot of them just because of over time, various demos and features. So it'll take them all out. And if there's data filled in, you're going to see it there. Okay. It'll also take out any issues and logs of issues related. And of course, attachments. Okay. So I've got only one on this example, but if you had 5, 10 different attachments, it would extract it. And it gives you a record of the attachment information. Okay. Versions as well would come out. So you've got that functionality as well. Now, yeah, that's good enough to give you the lay of land of that. So that's the contract. Let's go ahead and just take a peek at the change order. Give it a second here. Okay, and then I'm also going to extract a change order. Again, I'm going to use standard paving. Yeah, let's use this. Yeah, standard paving. So these are 3 change orders. So we're going to expect 3 change orders for standard paving. And again, same thing. It's going to use the same process. Okay, it's going to take out all the fields. And if there are attachments, it'll take it out. If there's versions, it'll take it out. Okay, so we'll see that come out. And then what I'll do a second round of extracts so you can see the incremental information that it will show you so you understand where you are at in doing the full extract of the project. Okay, so Archiver. So I've logged into Archiver already, and what you do is you have 3 different aspects that you can filter on. Okay, so in my case, I'm going to just use one project, but I certainly can extract more than one. And they're all listed here. And then I'm going to extract certain modules, again, just for the sake of time. Okay, so I'm going to take change orders and contracts, and then I'll come back and I'll extract additional modules just so you can see how it increments. Now, if you need this, you also have the ability to filter by vendor. Okay, so standard paving is the one that I've been showing you. Okay, and I can do that. Okay, so it's going to go into the demo project. It's going to go into the contracts module, the change order module, and only get standard paving documents. So I'll use that as my starting point example. I'll submit it. Oh, it's only because I've been logged out too long. Okay, my mistake. Let me go ahead and get back logged in. I should have checked that. I thought it wouldn't have timed out. So let me just get the password because I don't remember it by heart. Sorry, just a second. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so I'll just go re-choose the filtering. So I said I'm going to do demo, and I said I'm going to use contracts and change orders for the first extract. And I'm also going to show you just a subset, so standard paving. So I'm just doing a type ahead, and I'm going to grab standard paving. So I'll resubmit that, and off it's going to go, starting to extract. Okay, so it's very quick in general, but I had such a small subset. It's also very quick. So you can click on details, and it'll give you some information about what it did. Okay, so it got 3 documents, and it left 13 behind because it didn't meet the criteria. It grabbed 3 documents of contracts, left 19 behind. So it's just filtering, and it's letting you know what it did. And it'll let you know if there were any struggles with any of the items it was extracting. Okay, meaning, so some struggles that we've seen with some clients would be the attachments aren't there anymore. It can't get at the attachments. So we had one client, their SharePoint was disconnected, and they had to get it reconnected. So there could be situations where the archiver is unable to get at something. Okay, so I have it going to this pre-configured drive, and it goes into we've got a very short naming convention here. It's saying that it did a vendor specific extract based on standard paving, and it went and worked on some files, and it's not working on anything current. That's why it's empty, and it was completed on certain files. So we only used one project demo, and here's some extract information to let you know what it actually did. Okay, so it's similar to what was in the details within the software, but it's got a bit more information. Okay, so this is going to be important when we do incremental extracts, meaning we're adding additional documents as we go. Okay, so it's again letting me know it got 3 change orders, 3 contracts, and it's giving that same sort of information. Okay, so it's available right in the area where I'm going to look at the actual data. Now, we've also got the extraction summary. So this tab is going to continuously get updated and letting you know if anything was unsuccessful, so any failures, which we didn't have in our first round. And it lets you know the full summary of everything that came out. Okay, so this is really helpful. To let you know what happened and whether there were any problems. Okay, so there was one attachment on each of these that came out. Okay, so we're going to go look at those, and then I'll do RFIs, and I'll do no vendor filter. So you'll see how this continuously gets updated. So it gives you an ongoing list of what has taken place. So then I can start digging in to the actual documents. So I'm navigating into the project, And we follow the tree structure that's in the system. So we have contract info and project controls. So the change orders are here. I'm going to go to the contracts because they had more information on them. Okay. So the contracts are listed in an AFE funding module and the contracts. And then this is each one of the contracts that Standard Paving was the to company. Okay. So from Acme GC to Standard Paving. Okay. So again, we have summaries at each one of these levels so that we don't have to always go back to the first source. Okay. Now then you can dig in and you can see the actual record. Okay. So this is the contract I showed you. This is the PDF of the printout that you would also get if you clicked on the print from the actual document. Okay, this is a little bit slow starting up, so it'll just take a second. Now, it also creates an Excel sheet. So I'll go ahead and open that while the Adobe launches. It's a little slow on this machine. So this is what we get out from the system. So we get the all the fields, every single one of the fields, whether it's filled in or not, including some back-end fields. Okay, so some of these fields are fields from the database that might not look very familiar. Some of these are fields from the database itself. So here's all the data related to the contract. So we've got the cost, we've got the to and from, we've got the date, and so on. Okay. Then we've got any line items. When it's a money record, we have a secondary level with all the money line items. Okay, so we've got the different line items, we've got the cost distributions, the quantities, and any user-defined fields that you might have added on the line items. And then we have the issues. Okay, so we've got the information about the issues, if there are any, and in this case, there was one issue on that record. Okay. So it looks like the PDF opened, so I'll go ahead and show you that. So this is the printout that you would receive if you did a print preview from within the system. Okay. So meaning when I'm in the contract, I'll go back to it. So when you're in the contract itself, oop, don't know why it jumped me out. I'll get back in. Okay, so when you're in the contract itself, oops, did I go to the wrong project? Yeah. When you're in the contract itself, here we go. I was in the Earthworks one. So when you hit print preview, that's the same thing. Okay, so we get the print preview, we get the printout, what's called the default printout. That's what we extract, plus all the fields as I showed you in the Excel file. Okay, plus any attachments. Okay, so here's the attachment, and in this case, it's just a employee handbook, again in PDF. Okay, so the information is there, specifically including the attachments. Now, let's go ahead and do another extract. And that might pop open. It's for some reason the Adobe is quite slow. So there's the attachment, just a random employee handbook that was attached to that. Okay. So it does it all automatically, which is the key thing. I could never do it anywhere nearly as close, and that was literally just a few records. Let's try another extract. So I'm going to do the same project. Oh, okay. It's so strange that it's jumping me out, but I'll just get logged back in. for some reason. I'm not sure did that, but we'll just log back in. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do an extract, and I'm going to use the same project. Now this time I'm going to filter. I'll just use the same modules. Well, I can go ahead and choose some different ones. It doesn't matter. How about if we do submittals and RFIs? I'll use the RFI because I know I've got some attachments. I'm not too sure what's in some submittal packages, some submittals, and I'll go ahead and get change orders and contracts. That way you see it'll backfill within an existing extract all the other documents. Okay, I won't filter just on standard paving, so I'll go ahead and submit and it'll run through. Okay, now this might take a minute. I'm not quite sure how many submittals we have, so we'll just let it go ahead and do its thing. This is just a demo database, so it's not awfully big. Your real projects, I'm sure, will be quite a bit bigger. Now, you can run this and you can, let it run overnight. So, you don't have to sit and watch it, and it'll do its thing until it's finished, okay? So this one, not only did it finish, but we can see that we had some errors, okay? So I can go ahead and look at the errors inside of this list. So it's letting me know there's some attachment problems. It's probably because I used a module that I haven't used for quite a long time. So it's conceivable I have a few different attachments that were missing. Now I think these are a little bit of a false positive. So you can see this is saying it couldn't get this website. So the way contract management works, it lets you make a URL an attachment. So it's sort of a false positive in this case, really, that it wasn't able to do it because there's really nothing to extract. Okay, but you can see if there's any issues, and it gives you information, and then I can go ahead and go back to my folders, and I'll navigate. Navigate back. Okay. Okay. So this works in a little bit different way when I don't pick a vendor. It splits the folder, and it has to split it because the whole idea of a vendor folder is so that you can give the vendor folder all to the vendor. So that's why it does a split out of the box. So I go to the non-vendor extract. I go to see if anything is still in working mode, which it's not. If there was, you would see it in there. Okay, so in our case, they're pretty small, so they complete fairly quickly. So I can go see my project summary. So it lets me know what it extracted. Okay, so it lets me know that it got 16 change orders. It got 22 contracts, one with a problem. Okay, it got 16 RFIs, 3 with problems. When we saw those a minute ago, those a bit of a false positive there with those errors related to websites. Okay, then it lets you know it got 17 submittals, submittal packages, and 61 submittals. Okay, and there's just no way in heck I could ever do anything like this, just even remotely as quick. So it's very, very quick. Okay, sorry, let me close that. Okay, and then it's got the summary of the information. Let me just close it. There we go. It's got the summary of information, so it's telling you the ones that failed. Okay, so you could either use that other sheet or you can work your way through this. So the reason we give you it in Excel is so you can log against, yeah, that's okay. Oh, this is a problem. Let me go find that attachment, okay? And so on. So this gives you a kind of a checklist that you can work off of to make sure you can validate why the failures took place. Okay, so that's why we've got it in Excel as well. And then this gives you the running list of everything that it's taken out. Okay, so it's getting bigger and bigger. And of course, you can then use Excel functionality to search and filter and all that good stuff. Okay, if you're looking for something. specific, this is a good way to cross-check it. Okay. And then we can navigate into the nitty-gritty details. So I've got more things that I've extracted, and I can dig into them. Okay, so I want to go to the RFI. I think it's actually in contract info. Here it is. Okay, now the only reason I want to go to the RFI is because I've got slightly different printouts in there, so I wanted you to see that. Okay, so it's taken all the RFIs from that module out, and the one that we want to look at is the standard paving. Okay, so I can look at standard paving, and I want to look at the PDF, so the printout of it. Okay, so again, it's just a little bit slow on this machine, so give it a second. And while it's doing that, I'll also open up the Excel sheet. And very much like the other one, RFIs don't have any money records, so it has only 2 tabs. So the RFI is here with all the fields, and it's got any issues related, and there is one here, walk encountered. Okay. Now it does the printout as well. So this is why I wanted to show you this one, is because if you've done work to customize your PDFs, you won't lose that work. Okay, we will be able to get that custom branded printout that you put energy into putting together. So we will get it as well. Okay, so that's why I wanted to show you this one, because there is a branded custom default printout or form related to this module. Okay, so we will get that. It's not like we can only get the standard ones. That's not the case. We'll get whatever printout you've got in place. Okay, and then in this case, we've got some little PNG, so it's some sort of image file. And it's just a random picture that was attached. Okay, so we'll be able to extract any kind of document that you've attached. To open it, you would still likely need the source software. So if you've got AutoCAD, you need the AutoCAD viewer at minimum to be able to see it. So you have to keep that in mind for being able to access the documents, unless you've PDF them in advance. Okay, so I think I've run through to give you a good flavor of how this works. So the software works very well. It's very easy to use. And we've made enhancements over the years to make it easier and easier to use for, especially when we have a client that's trying to extract it, if they've had any concerns or things that they've had struggles with, we've improved the tool as we've gone. So this tool is usually sold with a little bit of consulting, and it varies between 8 to 40 hours of consulting, depending on how complicated your extractions will need to be. Okay, so we want to make sure that you're able to successfully get the extracts out. So there is a little consulting that we sell as the package, and then depending on how many projects you have, it may make sense to buy just a software as a subscription, as a service, or as a subscription. So it sort of depends, and the breakpoint is about 4 projects. If you have more than 4 projects to extract, we sell you a 1-year subscription, and then you can take as much time as you wish to extract your projects. Okay, so I think I'll jump back into the slide deck, and if anyone has any questions or wants to see something specifically that I haven't highlighted, you can go ahead and ask me, and then I'll jump back into the software if need be. Okay, I think I've given you at least enough of a flavor of how it works. Okay, so I'm going to get out of showing the software, and I'll go back into the PowerPoint. Can you see my PowerPoint? I just want to make sure.
Yes, Nicole.
Okay, you can see it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So we ran through those different scenarios, so I think that's good. So let me go ahead and jump down to just running through some of the benefits that our clients have experienced. And I think, if you've used contract management, they're probably somewhat obvious. So we showed you how you can do different filtering. Now, it can help you keep your environment clean. So we did have existing users that were extracting projects when they were completed. So that made sense when you were actively in contract management. Maybe a little less so now if you're moving into the retirement mode. For those of you who are moving into some of the other Oracle tools like AConnects or Unifier, let us know, because we also have migrating tools that could be interesting for you. Okay. And of course, I think you saw how easy it was to do the different extracts and how quick it was to get your data out. Okay, so that's huge. In terms of the storage, well, it compresses the files and it gets it out to a drive of your choosing. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to look at doing the extracts. You have to make sure the server's large enough and able to take the amount of attachments that you have. Okay. And of course, in terms of proof that you've got strong record keeping, I think you can see that we've got the audits, we've got the documentation on the different extracts, the incremental extracts. So that gives that historical backup and proof, if you will, if you need to argue that this is true, legit data. Okay. So let me just touch on a few case studies, and I'll run through 3 different scenarios. One was an owner type scenario, one of our largest ever contract management client. They moved up to Unifier a few years ago, and in their case, they had thousands of large and small projects in contract management. They had been using the software for over 20 years. So they decided to archive projects rather than work on migrating projects into Unifier. But they still needed the ability to go and look through the projects, not only for vendor information, but also for O&M operation manuals and things like that they had as part of their project data. So this was a very large project. It took us a few weeks to work on it with them. And in so doing, we did improve the tool, but it was a very large project and we ran most of it for them. So it was a consulting project for us. But in the end, we extracted millions of documents in a matter of a few weeks. And, there's no way they could have done that anywhere close to that amount of time manually. Okay. And we had to go through their audit and validate that everything was extracted. So that's a good chunk of what took the time, taking a few weeks to do. Another example client was an engineering firm that was project managing many large DOT projects for a DOT in the US. And one of their commitments was to not only give a full backup of the project, they needed to also provide vendor files and archives to each of the vendors that participated in the project. So the way that we did that was we ran out in 2 shots. As you can see, we ran out the whole project and then we ran out each of the vendors. So that worked very, very well and very quick. And in their case, it used to be our old version that created zip files. So they were able to give zip files to not only the client, but each of the vendors. And then the last example, and then we'll jump into questions, is a contractor example. And we have quite a few of these. So the contractor example is a contractor in the US who did large and medium-sized projects in contract management for many years. So they had more than one office that had used contract management. So each one of their offices took charge of extracting their projects. And the reason they wanted to do that was, they've got a contractual commitment to keep the documents for 7 years. And they didn't want to have to spend money maintaining the server for 7 years because it had to have special, features, special Java, and all that good stuff. So they decided it was more cost effective to retire the PCM server and extract the documents. Okay, so again, the same benefits are there. They save thousands of hours doing the extracts manually, and they have the confidence that all of the documents were extracted. Okay, which is a big deal. Okay, so I see there's one question that's come in. Does contract management, can it be integrated with SAP? And the answer is definitely yes. We've done that for more than one client. One of the largest ones that I was involved in directly was for Nexen Energy, so a large oil and gas company. And they use contract management for many years. And we integrated SAP contracts, POs, change orders, and payment certificates. So payment approvals. So it was very cost oriented what we did with them. So yes, we've done it more than once. That's just one of the examples that I personally was involved in. So yes, that's possible. So, integration is one of the key things that Emerald does, and really we've prided ourselves on helping many clients in all parts of the world get more out of their Primavera software and their Oracle construction and engineering business unit software tools. We've had programmers on our team from the beginning, and we've been in the business for 27 years now. So we've had programmers on the team from the beginning because we wanted to minimize data entry. That was our key thing. So integration and automations have been a big thing. And of course, in the last 10 years, building our own tools to help load data. So we've also got a contract management loader. So it lets you load data from Excel into contract management. So that's another option if integration maybe doesn't make the most sense. So a loading tool could be interesting. And as I mentioned, we've got migrator tools. So we can migrate contract management into Unifier in particular. And if you're looking at Prime or Aconex, we could probably help you as well. Okay. So keep that in mind. That's really what we do. And this is just one of many tools that we've got that enhance the products from the Oracle Engineering Business Unit suite of products. So if you have any additional questions or if you want to see anything else in the archiver, go ahead, throw them at me, and I'll try and tackle them as best as I can. Okay, nothing coming out right now. That's fine. If there is something that you do think about after the webinar, which can happen, that's not a problem. Feel free to reach out to us. And also, I'm just going to allow you to go ahead and let us know if there is particular follow-up that you are interested in us doing. Okay, so I've got Donna on the line with me, and she's, of course, our local Philippines rep and business manager there. So if you do want a certain reach out, you can fill in this little poll, and that way we know how best to keep in touch with you and make sure we're assisting you to our best of our ability. Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so if there aren't any questions, I'll just stay on the line for another minute or two. Here's my contact info. Donna can share her email as well in the chat if she wishes. And that can be another way that you can reach out if you do think of something that comes up after the webinar. So feel free to do it that way as well. Okay, great. Thanks so much for attending.